Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we will be looking at Charlotte and trying to answer the question of if you should take her to 140. Once again, if you like this kind of content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and without further ado, going right into her reincarnation, I feel like this is just something that's going to make her more of a universal tank. It's going to help her, I guess, go up against physical units a lot better, while at the same time complementing the magic resistance that she already had. So everything in the bestowed effect area is really going to be really good for her, just help her stay alive. And with her being a tank, I feel like she's really going to benefit from being re-rolled multiple times. You want to get as much HP, attack, and anything that will definitely ramp up her accuracy, because she only really has one guaranteed hit, and it's not something that I feel like you really want to use personally. It's going to be extremely situational, and at the same time, you're going to need card support to even really get benefits from using Monk. Something else you may want to keep in mind is that she does have native hate, so it's not that much, but at the same time, you can use a card to maybe buff that up, maybe some equipment. And this will be kind of important when moving forward, but I did want to make note of that. And when it comes to her mastery ability outright, you see everything that she has. You really just want to try and ramp that up, while at the same time kind of complementing her slash resistance. But honestly, this will vary just depending on what kind of teams you're targeting. As far as the skill that got upgraded, we're looking at Glorious Armor. This is pretty much going to be giving her defense and spirit, giving her regen as well. The upgrade here is going to be a Greater Protect and Shell. Now keep in mind, just because it is Greater Protect and Shell, this can still get slapped off very easily depending on which unit you're going up against. So even though I can say that this is still going to be useful, it's still in situations going to not be anything really you can rely on. So I feel like the more familiar you are with who you're going up against, the better off you're going to be. Another skill I really wanted to try and highlight is definitely going to be the Attract Wall. This is what she will prioritize over the Glorious Armor. This is going to give her more hate, it's going to raise her defense and her spirit debuff resistance, as well as helping her from being imperiled easily. Now, depending on the map, you may want to turn this off, because she is going to have just a little bit of hate to herself already. Because I just personally find that Glorious Armor is just way more important than Attract Wall. And if she doesn't have enough room to really get that ramp up that she's going to need to go into both of them, or maybe you're possibly getting blitzed by the opposite team. Aside from the hate, Attract Wall is really just only good just for debuff resistances, and the only way I can really say you can reliably leave this on is if you have Resnick. Like, at this point, Resnick is going to be her best friend. She's going to get healing from her, as well as just giving her defensive buffs that I feel like she's really going to need if she goes right into Attract Wall. And although her job level 25 Grandshield Wall skill does give all attack resist to all allies, you really want to try and consider keeping her away from the team. This is something else that just really depends on the map, depends on who you're going up against. Is she going to have enough time to really cast this and then go into something else that she may need a little bit more? Aside from that, as far as her main job goes, you really want to leave Lightning Strike on. This is going to be a Lightning Imperil. It's going to help her deal more damage, as well as just making it less likely that Reflex is going to go off. Another important skill is going to be Swift Punishment. This is going to lower agility while doing decent amount of damage, but the main draw here is definitely going to be the fact that it's an AoE. Being able to lower multiple units' agility is something that can really just come in clutch depending on what kind of units that she's running with. And just in general, I mean, slower units is just better in your favor and helping her survive. As far as her sub-main job goes, I would have to say that Hallowed Aegis' Blessing is going to be pretty important as well. I mean, in the meta that we're in, these are some pretty strong teams. I wouldn't say water as much, especially if they're going up against lightning, but having that lightning resistance, that dark resistance can be pretty important. But I feel like if you're going to use this, you're probably better off using her job level 25 skill. Once again, you can go with Monk. This is something that is going to give her a guaranteed hit with Surge Strike. But at the same time, once again, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's going to need card support. It's going to need a lot of things that, I mean, I feel like it's in the meta. There are definitely a lot of strike cards, but is she really going to be able to use them? So that's just something to really keep an eye out for and make sure that she's able to use the cards that you're trying to put on her. But I feel like a safe bet is probably going to be Thief. This is going to give her a good amount of range, at the same time means of lowering CT, lowering agility. Sneak attack is something else that can be extremely important, deal a lot of damage, as well as being able to lower accuracy, maybe if she's running with evasion teams or something, which is another thing I did want to kind of bring up. Charlotte is going to be good on rainbow teams for sure. It's not that she's going to rely on a lightning team, especially with the way that cards are starting to get, pushed into more so of a job thing than it is mono elements or anything like that, especially if she's able to get buffs that she just really needs for survivability before she just runs out into the fray. Naturally enough, if you're going to run her as a strike unit, you definitely want to use Strike Mastery. This is going to give her a huge buff to her attack as far as her strike skills. Something else you may consider is also Thief Lord. This is going to give her more movement as well as raising her agility. So if you really just need her to get the hell away from your team, maybe they're just in the back buffing each other, or maybe they already buffed her, just to give you more space, this definitely wouldn't be a bad choice. But once again, you have to really keep in mind of the map, keep in mind of the movement of your enemy units, because chances are she's probably only going to be able to get one buff on herself, and then she's going to be in attack range. Aside from that, you can go with HP, you know, obviously just give her more survivability, but Noble Heart is definitely going to be something I feel like you probably want to keep on. This is going to give her spirit and HP, and just really going over her supports, it just kind of shows you that she's just really going to be better against magic outright. You're really going to probably rely on giving her a defensive Esper that's going to just buff that defense, maybe give her some missile resistance, more slash resistance, and since those Espers tend to be on the slower side, it may force you to want to try and use maybe Thief Lord. As far as her reaction ability goes, I feel like a Biting Resolve is just once again going to be the best. This is going to give her more spirit when she's taking magic damage. Now, as far as her limit break goes, as you can see, I initially did have this turned off just because I didn't really feel like that defensive buff was all that big of a deal. It was only for one turn. But now that I'm really looking at it, this is something you definitely want to leave on. This is going to lower attack and magic for 3 turns, which is going to be pretty important, and it's kind of giving you like that Sentinel ability with the significant raise to the defense and spirit. But I do feel that lowering the attack and magic is probably going to be the bigger deal here. It's either going to help keep your teammates alive or force them to more so focus on her. And now we're at the end of the video, and really going over everything that I said and just saw about Charlotte, trying her out in a bunch of different fights against a bunch of different teams. I feel like you taking her to 140 is more so going to be dependent on just the units you have, the cards you have, just your account in general. Although I feel like she's extremely good. Personally for me, I do think that June may be a little bit better, and I feel like Mon is definitely better. So personally, if you don't have those two, then I would have to say, hell yeah, you definitely take her to 140. But do keep in mind that June's reincarnation is on the way, and you know, it may end up being something that just kind of makes her not as relevant. Something that can work in Charlotte's favor is she can use the Blood Sword, and I feel like this combined with the Glorious Armor is going to be something that can definitely keep her alive. More or less, you're going to be using her AoEs, so the more people that she hits, the more damage she's going to be dealing, the more she's going to be healing back. The Man-Eater is also going to be something that's going to be, you know, pretty good for just dealing damage, getting past defenses. But outside of that, I would definitely just go with a fully defensive build, and probably give her Trust Stones that can just help her with her debuff resistance. And that'll pretty much do it for the video. I tried to leave some videos of fights that, you know, I had her in, and just to, you know, kind of see just what to expect with her. I will say that I did not fare well against Evasion. Her not having really any guaranteed hits and, you know, not having the card support on my end didn't really make using Monk all that efficient. Even with that guaranteed hit, it does strike for a small amount of damage, so it just really didn't feel like it was worth it for me. So maybe you guys can leave in the comment section, you know, if you use her that way, how's it working for you? Just to give people who are watching this video a little bit more insight. But with that, I hope you guys have a nice day, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Take it easy.